Hi, Ann Cornick from Porcelain Exchange. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting and also encourage those of you who've been painting a while to just paint along with us and try something different. And today we're going to be working on our deer in winter. It's actually off a Christmas card that the Blue Water chapter came across many years ago. And Darla Van Satch, who's now the president of the Blue Water chapter, actually presented it at our state meeting. And then I asked her if she would do it for the Dearborn group. And after that, Gina asked if we could do it as a group, and I said, sure. So I asked Darla, and she said, no problem. So this is my first fire now. Oh, let me get it in here pretty good here. Now, I did this on an oval tile. This is an abbreviated version, so you can see that you can take this and you can cut off part of it. Here's the whole line drawing. And the part that I did on the oval is just up to this big tree right here, pretty much. See? Oh, here, let's do it this way. So you have a couple of options with this. When you download the tracing, you can take and when it's loaded on your computer, you can make it larger or smaller. And the way you do that is by going into Word if you have it, or some word processing, and just playing with it insert it as an object is what I do on Word. And then I just bring it down or make it larger or whatever I need. This is the ultimate frame I'm going to put it in, this particular one. But today I'm working on the whole thing, and we're going to do a big plate. We haven't done one of those in a while. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to do that. Now, this is a fanciful scene. The colors we're using are not the true colors. It's supposed to have, and you can kind of tell from this a little bit, it's supposed to have a little bit of a Northern Lights quality to it. But if you use the hairspray, they did the graphite paper down, and then they traced, and then they just held it back really far and just sprayed in the air and let the spray fall on it. You don't want too much spray. You don't want to hold it right up to the piece and spray, because you'll get way too much of the spray, and it dries like a lacquer, and it dries so that it's hard to move. So when you paint over hairspray, and on this piece, we're going to be painting the sky over the trees and then wiping out the trees. It does prevent the lines underneath from moving, but it also, you can't make corrections. So not easily, because if you start playing with it after it's dried, you have to go back and play with it, and it just becomes a gunky mess, and you may have to start over. So that's one caution if you're using hairspray on this. I didn't. What I did is I simply put this on with my red transfer paper, and that's the Saral, S-A-R-A-L transfer paper that I have from Dick Blick. It's a non-waxed transfer paper. And I just pressed really hard so that I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the red outline. But at the same time, I'm also hoping that it will stay there while we put the background over it. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're using turpentine or mineral spirits, you want to, as much as possible, when you're cleaning your brush, kind of get that out of there so that it doesn't take off your tracing, so that you can then go back and wipe out where you're supposed to wipe out. I'm going to be framing this, and I found that this is the frame I've got. You can buy these frames just about anywhere, and the plate should slip right into it. Let me just see if I can do it. I've got a thing on it, but you can at least see. But I wanted a little bit of a border on this one, because when you put it in a frame, it does take up some of the edge of the plate. And if you can put a border on it, then that gives you a little bit more continuity. Or you can just take the color straight out to the edge like I did last time. But I thought this time it might be kind of nice to have a border on it. So the tool you can use, and we haven't used tools and things in a while, is this, of course. This is a banding tool. As far as colors for today, we're going to be using a whole ton of colors. You're going to want an ochre or a pecan or a yellow brown for your deer. You're going to want a rich brown, a black, and I was told by Nancy Gilbert, who I think is one of my favorites, she said, as far as colors, when I saw hers, I said, your colors were gorgeous. What'd you use? She said, slate gray for the sky and the snow. And it turned out very pretty. So I have some of that on here. I also have navy, maroon, and maroon is good if you can get it. I have heliotrope, and this is the light heliotrope, the pinky one, not the blue one. I have Sevres blue, banding blue, which is dripping because it's really, really loose. Egg. I don't use mixing yellow. I do sometimes, but egg always stands up for me. Although I'm not really, and I'm going to be mixing the egg in with my browns to get a slightly lighter fur on him. So it works well for that. Deep blue green. And then I have a Lori pink and I have an apple blossom as my two pinks. And I've already tried that on the first fire that I showed you. So I know how they fire, and they fire out really nice. The maroon is not very dark. This is the maroon on here, back here. I'm going to make it a little darker. But this here is a heliotrope that I stippled on. So as far as brushes, you're going to need every brush you have. I didn't plan it this way, but this is kind of the way it turned out. You're going to need a Picopay, and you're going to need a regular wipeout tool like this if you have it. Then for the detail work, you're going to need a nice scroller, or here's the other brush you could use, a really fine little brush like this. That would work too. I'm just going to set these down. I start out, even though on the deer, with this brush, which is my 1/4 inch square shader. Now, I know most of you are going to want to use something more like this. If you use this, you're going to get light, little choppy strokes. If you use this, and you're only going to use kind of like 1/3 of it, you're going to do like side load and only paint with 1/3 of it, using the edge quite a bit, you actually get smoother strokes. I've always been taught to paint with the biggest brush you can find. So that's what I do. I'm going to be using stipplers. Now, if you don't know what a stippler is, it's a chopped off brush. It's chopped off on an angle. Can you see those two? I don't know. Yeah, this one looks more like an angle. And if you look at them head on, like this, they're round. So this one's round, but it's chopped off like this, okay? I'm going to use this for wiping out the trees. I've played and played and played with the best way to wipe out the trees. I tried using erasers and what have you. This seems to work the best. This is for my background. This is my filbert. Now, this is a size 12. Whatever you use when you do a nice background and filter it out really well, that's the brush you want for this. Because when you paint the background on this, you're going to have to paint very lightly using the very tip of your brush. And so find one that's going to put it on for you. And then just to make the deer's fur look a little more furry, you can either use a fur brush or you can use a rake, which is also called a grainer, a filbert grainer. So either of these two will work for you a little more. Okay, now I'm going to use this. This is the tool we talked about. So I've already done part of my, you can see right here, I've already done part of my edging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the same thing, and I'm just going to make sure that I pull down this way as I do it, so it stays at the same level. And because I have a turntable, it makes a real nice circle. Now I use this. I tried to use my Sharpie on it in the past, and the Sharpie is not, it has a little bump built into it. So it's not as easy to do as you think it will be. So, okay, there we go. So I will put a border on it after the fact, but I just wanted you to see how you put a border on if you want to do it. And this is a very plain plate, as you can see, so it's an easy one to frame. So we're going to get started. I start with the deer. And the reason I start with the deer is because it's kind of easier to do that and then move around than to try to come back to them once you've got a lot of blue on the plate, because you don't want them to be blue. You really want them to be the color you want them to be, which is the brown. So I'm going to start out with, you can use your yellow brown. I'm cleaning my brush a little. I'm using my square shader, my 1/4 inch square shader. And what I'm going to do is take and do a full ochre and a little bit of side of rich brown. And I'm going to start with the mama, and we're going to do her back. And see, I'm only using like the corner of the brush, really. And if you turn this, now she has a white stripe down her back, so that's why I'm not going all the way up there. I might do a little bit like this just to get it in. And then she has a little section here, get a little more paint on, where there's a little more, I don't want quite that much paint there. There's a little more color down here, and I'm going to turn it around this way. Always paint towards yourself. And then I want a little more color down here on her. Now, in order to get the furish look that I really want on her, I'm going to take my filbert and just lightly, this is the filbert grainer, and just lightly go over it, okay, like that. Alrighty, and then we're going to do the front of her. Same thing, same colors. The front around the little deer's face, because his face is going to be white, has to be brown on the mother so that the face is going to show up. Remember, what these cut lines are going to fire off, and you're not going to have them when you want them afterwards. So you have to make sure that you put in lines if you need them, or you make sure you paint those lines. I'm also going to do her head here, which has quite a bit of brown on it. This is easy. This is not hard. You just lift, lift, lift all the way around like this. You might want to add a little more brown up in here. Oops, let me get a little more brown on my brush. This is a rich brown. And I'm going to do it up in here. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush. And I'm going to take just ochre and do her, or yellow brown if that's what you're using. I'm side loading only, and I'm just doing her ears. And I got a little outside, so there we go. And I'm going to do this ear over here. Things don't have to be real dark. You can do them lightly, and then I'm coming down here. Now I'm going to add a little yellow to it, because I want this to have a little yellow in it. And my egg plays well with all my colors, so I'm real pleased with it. As far as her legs go, the top of her legs, they're folded under here, down here at the bottom, is going to be white. So what we're going to do is take and do that mixture like we did before with the ochre and the rich brown. Oops, too dark. Yeah, like this. And then we're going to come through the center here because we want to be able to, here we go. And then we also want to make sure that we have the bottom of her legs done there. Now you can paint it all in and then just wipe it out if that works better for you. And I think that's going to work better for me, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm also going to put a little more dark over on this side here. And I'm going to put a little dark right in here, and darker brown. It is a little cartoony. Somebody made that comment, and I think it's true. This is a little cartoony, but remember, it's off a Christmas card. So, okay, now I want a little more brown right in here, I think. Okay. Not quite that much. Get a little, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take this, which is my grainer. I'm going to pull up on her head, try to get that color nice and even. And then I'm going to take a small brush, if I have one around here. Yeah, I do. I have a baby brush. And I'm just going to put the dark brown in with this brush right here. Oh, need a little more paint. That's kind of dark. So I'm going to wipe off my brush. Make it not quite so dark. This is a very easy project for anybody who's looking for an easy Christmas project or winter project. Oh, I leaned on my thing and got a little, don't want that there. We want the dark down in here too. Okay. All right. Now we're going to do the baby deer. And I'm doing the baby deer predominantly with either my yellow, brown, or my ochre, whatever color you're using. I'm using ochre because I got tons of it and I never use it. So I'm just going to paint them all. Paint his little tail. Paint his little haunches. Paint his little face. It comes out like under his eye up to there. And then I'm going to paint down his back a little bit. Like that. And then I'm going to paint his little hoofs. There's a hoof, and there's a hoof. Okay, and I'm going to paint his little ears. And this one, just the edge. There we go. This one, I'm just going to do the edge. Okay. A little more than I wanted to, but I can pull it back up like this. Okay. And then I'm going to take my brown, and I'm just going to highlight so his tail's a little darker. Now, this is where I put the dark right there to make it look like he's got little haunches. And I also put the dark at the edge of this. And I think I'm going to put a little more dark coming down the end of this there. We also are going to take our little brush, wipe it off a little, and just do a little dark in his ears. He also has a little dark on the top of his head, so we're going to do the top of his head now. And it's the darker brown. It comes down to his nose. So yeah, I paint with a pretty big brush for this kind of thing. If you think you can't, you don't have to. You can paint with a smaller brush. Okay, so that's kind of the way I want him to look. Just use my right there. And then I'm going to, there, give him a little fluff. Okay. Now, if you want to leave things white now, you can do it and then paint them in a little bit darker later. That's fine too. On the little deer, we have to put, where is my brush? Here we are. I'm going to use my, oh no, I'm going to use this brush, this little teeny tiny brush. And I'm just going to put a few dark spots on his back. Oh, come on. It doesn't always want to cooperate with you when you want it to do it. Come on. A little more. Okay. And I want a little separation here between his haunches and his tail. Okay. That's a little better. Alrighty. Now I'm going to take the black. Oh, and his mom has a little bit of white back here on her back, like I said, so I want to make sure don't make it too prominent. And I think I need just a tad more dark right here. There we go. Oh, her ears are awfully dark. Correct it now. Don't leave it, because if you leave it and you don't like it, you're stuck with it. You can always make things darker, but you can't always make them lighter. So if you have something you don't like now, correct it if it's too dark. Okay, and then I'm going to do this around this eye. This around this eye. Just a little. And I'm going to get my black on my brush. And I'm going to do their hooves and their eyes. Now the eyes are pretty simple. You're just going to outline the eye. Oh. Except that that was too oily. So let me get back in here. We'll do it again. Okay. Yeah, you need to check it on your tile. I don't always check it on my tile, and that's probably a mistake. And then you just do the end of her eye. Oops, come here, you. She's looking down at her baby. And her nose. Come here, you. There we go. And now I'm going to do his eye. And his nose. And he has a little smile. There. Her eye needs to be more darkened. There we go. And then we're going to do their hoofs. He has a hoof here. And if you have a white plate, you're not going to interfere with the color because you're not going to put anything there. There we go. Now, if you want to, you can either make a darker line here to separate, or you can make a lighter line there to separate. And I kind of opt for the lighter line right now. But he turns out pretty cute. Now we're going to use this Pico-Pay to make a little white in their eyes. If you make too much white, that's fine. But if you don't have any white, that's going to be a problem. And I need to fill in just the top of this eye here. Okay, that's good for now. I have a size 2 here that should work. Okay, this is a little size 2. And I'm just going to paint it turquoise, like I said. If I go over the tree, it's no big deal. We're going to wipe out the tree. Just don't want to get it on the roof. On the far end of the roof, we can get a little, but we'll do that on the next fire. Oh. Come on. This is why I don't like little brushes. For me, they don't work real well. You have to really keep playing with them to get them to do what you want them to do. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to even up the color a little. Okay, and down the side. And then we're going to add a little yellow to the windows. So it looks like there's a little light on inside. You don't have to worry about it being dark enough now. You know, you can darken it later. The idea is that you have it there. We're going to start doing the sky. I'm going to do it upside down. I'm going to do it with this brush. I'm going to make sure that I don't have like too much turpentine or anything on it. I just want the colors I want. Now behind these, right here, I'm going to have to do it this way. There's a maroon. So I'm taking my maroon, pulling it away from that so that I don't get it on my deer. Because this is all maroon back here behind the trees and behind the deer. And you notice I'm trying real hard not to disturb those lines. You can't afford to disturb the lines, I'll tell you that right now. That's why if you paint very gently, and not with a lot of oil, you have to paint fairly dry in order to get this to work. Now you're going to start mixing your colors. So put them on and then just start mixing them. There we go. You want to put them all over the trees. It's fine to put them all over the trees because you're going to pull the trees out and you'll see that they really look gorgeous when they get pulled out. Over here, I think I'm going to add a little more. Now, this is up to you at this point. Where do you want the pink? If you have the pink there, I mean the maroon there, I need a little more oil. If you want the maroon there, do you want it over here? If so, you can do it. But you got to go over your trees. Now these trees are going to be a little more blue. So if you do that back one in maroon and then this one we're going to wipe with blue, that'll be a little better. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. And I'm just using the edge of my brush. See, the very tip of my brush. There we go. Make sure you get it to come out. Now, as you get up to the top of the trees, don't worry about accidentally wiping those off because those you can put back in anytime. And you might want to offset this. There should be, and I don't have it on here, so I'll do it with a little bit of red. Here, this should come over this way a little more, okay? And over on these trees, it's also maroon to kind of give you, you always try to repeat the colors, you know, 2-3 times just to get them on there. But if you're going over this area back here, make sure that you kind of go around some of these so that you don't get too much of the color in there. Here, I'm going to get this maroon and I'm just going to pull it around this house a little bit. I want that roof to be snowy white. Okay. That's good. All right, and then we're going to do more maroon up behind these white trees here. We're going to make the maroon a little darker on the next fire, but we don't want to get it too dark on this fire because we don't want to wipe off okay. And you're just pulling it up. Now I did this band around the edge, and I think I'm going to do that in like a navy. I have already decided that. So I keep trying to decide what I'm going to do. So I keep turning it because that will help me know how I want my color on here. Okay. Now I'm going to clean off that color. And I'm going to go back, and I prefer, myself, the Severs blue for the background. I really think it's pretty. That's Severs blue right there. And I really like it for the sky. And you're going to blend it in. But you notice I'm blending away from that maroon because I don't really want to lose the maroon. I just want to get the Sevres blue on the sky a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing over here a little. You can also add a little deep blue green if you think that that's a better color. That's the color I used for the house. Look at how that brightens that up. And then blend it in, just blend it in. You just put the color on like this and then blend it in. There you go, see? But you don't want to leave blobs in the sky. Now up here, I'm getting a little drier in the way I'm painting, and that's sort of intentional. Behind these trees and on these trees, okay, I'm going to start doing, here I need a little more of this and this. My trees, I think I want them to be kind of this color. I'm mixing the Sevres and the deep blue green because that's the color I like. Whatever color you like. If you don't like those colors, that's fine. You can mix whatever you want. You can even take a little banding, that's what this is, and put it in. If you want to add some banding to it. These trees, and there's one kind of here, are going to be purple. They're going to be heliotrope. So, as you add this background, think about that and decide what colors you want behind the heliotrope. The blue is pretty. I think the maroon is going to be prettier. See, here's the blue I had. I had the blue there, but I think I would rather have the heliotrope. So, there we go. And those you don't need to fill in, just these. And mix your colors. As you get up into the sky now, you want it to be more cloudy. So let it go dry. Let your brush go dry. See this? See how I'm getting these like wisps of clouds? Oops, over here I need to do a little more color. You want it to look kind of cloudy. So with this brush, this is my filbert, I get that cumulus look real easy. And I kind of like that. So now let me turn it back so I can look at it from the front. Okay. Now, is that the look you want? If that's the look you want, oh, I just need a little turquoise right here. And I'm going to need a little turquoise right here. Now remember, any color you put on now, you can make darker later. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. I am. If when you fire this, these edges are a little too defined, you can paint over them. But if you want to just pat them a little now and bring them back, you can do that too. Just so that you don't have like a line where these are disappearing. Okay, I think I've done a pretty good job with that now. Now, same brush, I'm just going to take and I'm going to use the same colors. And I'm coming down here and going to put my turquoise on this little guy down here because he's going to need it. You want this to set up a little because you're going to be wiping it out. Hang on there. I wanted that a little drier. It's not quite as dry as I'd like it to be. That's okay. And then you're going to take your colors. Now you can use a maroon, you can use a gray, you can use a maroon and gray. And just put a little, I'm going to use this slate gray up in here. There we go. I'm going to use slate gray under these guys. Just lightly. I can do it darker, next time, but And I want to break up this edge here using the side of my brush. It's a filbert, but you can use the side of it to give you a little different way of doing it. And then down here, of course, and you might even want to put like a little bit of snow, kind of break it up a little and put a little of the blue down in here. And of course, you're going to put a little blue up in here. Oop. Paint too dry, and then I can't get the paint to move. Here we go. Okay. And then there's a little blue right here. That's okay. So we've got all the little things on there. We're not going to shade any of the trees or anything at this point. You can if you want, but you don't have to. The first thing we want to do is make sure that the little wisp of I want that to be red. The little wisp of smoke is got too big a brush here. Let me get a smaller one. Make this chimney, what? I don't know. I just want a color on it. And you might want to put some color on the roof of the house, but I would leave it for now because just what we've done is plenty. You want to make that look a little smoky. Okay. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to turn it upside down. Hang on a minute here. I need to, that's better. Okay. We're going to turn it upside down and we're going to start wiping out all of our different trees. Now, these are going to be birch trees. I would also use Q-tips, but only go to a certain point, okay? Wipe it out, but only up to a certain point. And kind of look at them as you're doing them because you don't want them, these double lines you see on there, that's supposed to be the thickness of those trees. So, like right here, this is a double line, so you're going to wipe it out. But then you can use your own imagination and kind of make them look better. I think this works a little better. And you can also use, my favorite, the stumps, because they don't usually leave any residual. There we go. And over here I want to get, that's an evergreen, and this is an evergreen, birch, and this is a birch, and I'm trying to follow them, and only follow them to the top, and then I'll show you how to finish them. Okay. Now, if you don't have a stump, you can use your eraser. I just think the stump leaves less behind. That's why I like it. Now, stumps are rolled cardboard. For those of you that don't know what a stump is, it's rolled cardboard. And you can get it just about anywhere. This tree, I'm going to make a little different. I don't like the way it looks. So if you don't like the way it looks, now's the time to change it. And this is why I said, if you aren't using hairspray, this is probably not the time to start using hairspray to try this, because you may want to change the way something looks. And you can't do it if you have hairspray there. Okay, so those are my stumps. Now, turn it upside down. I'm going to get my Pico-Pay out. And I'm just going to Wipe it off. You're eventually going to lift. So you press and lift. Take all those ends and carry them to the end. Don't leave them stumpy. Remember, they go all different directions. And then over here, we're going to do the same. It's easier to do it upside down. Make sure you wipe as you go. Start out by going and just lifting these edges if you want, like this, of all these little dumpy ones, and then go in and create some really pretty ones. I think this one needs more. Hang on, it needs something more right here. There we go. And then at the very edge of a tree, if you ever look at it, that's where they have all these little branches coming off. It's just like the root system. And what you don't make on this, you can make on the next one, because you will have a little more time to do some of these. Okay, now for the trees back here, we're going to stipple. I use my medium stippler. Yeah, it's a little better. I'm using a little bit of heliotrope, a little bit of maroon, just to stipple these in. The stippler is the round brush that I told you about. I got mine from Birgit Porter. She used it quite a bit. I'm just going to put a little more maroon in here. I kind of like the maroon myself. Okay, and there is one, I think, back in here too. So I'm just going to put a little one back in here. There we go. Okay. Do these upside down. You'll get a better result. With the stump, you can wipe it off too. Wherever there's a loop, see that little loop there? Can you see that right there? That's where the snow's going to be. You can do it that way, or if you want a softer effect, you can do it with a stump. Or you might want to do it with the stump first. That's why you don't want to get all those off of there, because you need them. Well, that one needs to be a little bigger. Use the side of the stump. As you get to the top, there you go. And then this guy. Oops, this guy needs a little more wiping out there. And then this guy, almost going to be white against the background. There. I like him. The other thing we want to do on this fire is, where are you? Here. I want to take my scroller. I'm going to do a little brown down here. If it's not dark, don't worry. Oh, am I in their way? I'm sorry. Let me do it upside down then. You just want to do it to suggest it. Okay. And then we had down here, we have a little, there. We need to wipe out this guy down here. Get another stump. This guy, as you wipe him out, you're making a triangle. You're pulling to the base. You're making a triangle. Oop. I'm kind of running over. I didn't want to run over this much if I could help it. Okay. And then for your trees, you're going to take a little black and you're just going to go and put, oh, come here, you. So this is my first fire from what I was working on my own. This is my first fire here. Okie doke. So we'll do the second fire next time. Try this. I know it looks weird this time, but it will look much better next time. Now on this one, I did more blue in the background and I did it a little darker. So if you like that better, certainly feel free to do it. The blues on this worked a little better for me, but of course I had more time. And I don't want to take the time with you now. So pick up those brushes, keep painting, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.